Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for the Seven Deadly Sins, aka Nanatsu no Taizai, Episode 3. Alright, and this might be a long review, so I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and get started, okay? In the beginning of this episode, we learned that Gil Thunder's father was a holy knight as well, and he was killed. Um, Gil Thunder believes that he was killed by the Seven Deadly Sins. Um, and that's also why he has that grudge that we saw in episode 1, how he's always wanted to get back at the Seven Deadly Sins. That's why, because he believes his father was killed by them. Um, and we talk a little bit about this. We get more information on this later on in the episode. Um, but for here, we see Meliodas and Elizabeth and Hawk going into the forest of whatever dreams, whatever, but forest of white dreams, I think it was. I kind of forgot. Didn't really care enough to write it down because it's a forest. It's not a big deal. And in this forest, some things happened. I just literally, I kid you not, alright? Literally every single thing that happened here, I predicted. Like, I literally saw all of it coming from a mile away. Alright? Like, literally. All of it. Alright? Like, everything from here up until meeting Diane. I literally saw all of that stuff coming from a mile away. There was nothing I did not get right when it comes to me predicting things. Alright? I literally saw it all coming. That's how predictable it was. Alright? Which is not a good thing. I shouldn't be able to predict like 10 minutes worth of an episode. Alright? Um, but anyway, eventually they end up finding Diane. She's the sin of envy, and she has the symbol of the serpent on her leg, which it was in plain view, yet Hawk and Elizabeth couldn't see it. So they were surprised to learn that this random giant, who is clearly not normal, is one of the seven deadly sins. Um, I mean, I guess you could try and make the argument that the mist was there so they couldn't see it, or that they were distracted by the fact that she's giant. But I just don't see the point of this is the second episode in a row where they've done this. I just don't see the point of showing off these symbols that everybody knows the seven deadly sins are the only ones that have them. Okay, they're a dead giveaway that you're one of the seven deadly sins. Alright, I don't get what the point is of showing off these symbols if literally no one ever notices them. The entire point of the story is to find the seven deadly sins, and you are showing people who are obviously seven deadly sins, but having all the characters not notice the details that obviously make these people seven deadly sins. I don't really get the point. Like, why not have the symbol on her other leg, the one that she was lying on? At least then it's not in plain view, and you can make a better excuse for why they wouldn't notice. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just making too big of a deal out of it, but I just don't see the point of showing off these symbols if no one ever notices them. What's the point then? Like, what? I just don't understand. Um, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems pointless to me to do that, but whatever. Moving on. Diane, we learn that she likes Meliodas. Um, yeah, she ends up deciding to go with him to find the other seven deadly sins and all that. But that's when Gil Thunder shows up. Alright, this is when I actually started caring about what happened. Because he just came in and trapped them all in like these lightning rings. Alright? And it's revealed that Elizabeth actually knows him. When they were kids, they were friends, and they actually looked pretty close too, but obviously Gil Thunder doesn't care about her too much anymore. I mean, he wasn't going to go and kill her, but he's not like that. He doesn't care that much. Alright, and it turns out that Meliodas actually knows him too because he trained with him 10 years ago, which I'll admit I actually found that to be kind of funny. Alright, but Gil Thunder, he tells us why it is that the Holy Knights are going after the Seven Deadly Sins. He says that there are two main reasons. One is to prove themselves and show that, you know, they're stronger than these legendary people. And the second reason is to take revenge on them because of the coup that they planned. Alright, and make them pay for it. For Gil Thunder, it's both, because he wants to show that he was stronger than his father, because his father was actually known as the strongest Holy Knight. So he wants to beat the seven deadly sins who killed his father and prove that he is the strongest Holy Knight, but he also wants to avenge his father's death. Okay, and this is when Meliodas gives us a little bit of a flashback. Apparently, the seven deadly sins were called to the castle for some reason, and they ended up just seeing Gil Thunder's father dead there. His name is like Zaratras. I don't know how it's pronounced, but Zaratras, all right, something like that. Um, when they get there, this dude's already dead, all right, and they realize that something's up because not only is this guy dead, but the Holy Knights are attacking the castle and they're charging in, all right. And that's all we see. He ends up blacking out after that and not being able to remember anything else, and he just woke up with Hawk next to him, I guess, or he woke up and a little bit later he found Hawk. So I don't know, maybe Hawk has some importance in terms of the things that Meliodas isn't remembering. Like maybe the Hawk is involved in that somehow. I don't know. I find it hard to believe because he's a talking pig and that's all he is, you know. But maybe that's because I'm influenced by fairy tale and I think that talking animals never do anything. Maybe that's why. But maybe Hawk is involved somehow in that. Um, but I'm I'm hoping that the Holy Knights, when they were attacking, I'm hoping that their hatred of the seven deadly sins isn't just a giant misunderstanding. Okay, and I hope they don't just think that the seven deadly sins were the ones that killed Zaratras. I'm hoping that's the point, because people of their stature can just explain the situation and say, yeah, we found him dead when we got here, and they would actually believe them because they're the seven freaking deadly sins. Like they're all the way up here. Like people would believe them. All right, so it just wouldn't make sense for them for all the Holy Knights to just like not believe this like the best of the best. Like it just doesn't make sense. Um, Hopefully this is just like all some type of plot where the knights set them up and betrayed them and tried to make everyone else believe that they were the ones who planned this coup and killed Zarjas. Hopefully that's the case, because if not, it would be kind of stupid. And speaking of stupid, right, Elizabeth, oh Jesus, she's talking to Gil Thunder, okay, and because Gil Thunder let her go, like release the lightning rings and stuff like that, and first of all, she's just baffled by the idea that Gil Thunder wouldn't believe the story of a world-renowned criminal. Like she just cannot understand the fact that this guy is questioning a criminal and whether or not he's actually telling the truth. Like this is like you got to realize, Elizabeth. All right, you got to realize that these guys are like the most famous criminals in the world, and they're not going to be believed just like that, right? You just got to recognize that fact, okay? And that's like if that was the only stupid thing she did, then I wouldn't mind that much. But that's not the only stupid thing she did. It gets worse than that, okay? Because she decides that she's going to defend Meliodas and Diane. She literally stands in Gil Thunder's way to prevent him from doing anything to them. Yet 5 seconds later, she starts running after Hawk and abandons them. And I'm like, dude, like I understand Hawk got kicked. It's a mean thing to do. It's messed up. He's probably hurt somewhere. But he's alive. Okay, Hawk is alive. Nothing bad is going to happen to this pig unless some random monster shows up out of nowhere, which probably isn't going to happen. Because we have not seen any monster yet that was not serving under Diane. Like, we literally have not seen a single one other than those few that were serving Diane. Alright? So, Hawk is perfectly fine. Like, he's not in any danger. Yet, Diane and Meliodas clearly are. At least that's what you believe. Alright? You literally told Gil Thunder to his face that you weren't going to let him do anything to them, and yet you leave them. I'm just like, it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you go through all that and stand in front of them saying, no, I won't let you do anything, and then you just leave? You just leave them behind and abandon them. Like, that just doesn't, it's just awful. Like, Elizabeth, man, I don't have much hope for her character. I really don't. I hear some people say, because people everybody's comparing Nanatsu no Taizai to Fairy Tail now and saying, oh, well, whether no matter what side you're on, whether you're saying Nanatsu no Taizai is better or worse, everybody's comparing it to Fairy Tail. They're saying, oh well, this is what Fairy Tail should have been like, or this is just this is just a copy of Fairy Tail. There's some people saying Elizabeth is so much better than Lucy, or Lucy is so much better than Elizabeth. Everybody's comparing it to Fairy Tail, all right? And I just don't see it yet. Like, I honestly just don't see it yet. Elizabeth, I, from what I understand, Elizabeth does do something or has some ability or does something later on where she's legit or something. I don't know, but she does something where people think she's more useful than Lucy. But Lucy controls like all these all these celestial spirits. So I don't see Elizabeth being more useful than Lucy, but whatever. Especially when she says she's going to do something and then abandons it 5 minutes later. She says she's going to protect her friends and then abandons them to go chase a pig that is not going to be in any danger. Like I just didn't understand this part of the episode. I just didn't understand her logic here. I really didn't. I didn't understand her logic here. All right. And then it's only after Meliodas and Gil Thunder started to fight that she turned around. She remembered about them. Like and even then she still didn't go back. So I mean, whatever. Screw Elizabeth. I don't care right now. So yeah, this fight between Meliodas and Gil Thunder, it was okay. I mean, the choreography wasn't exactly the most creative fight I've ever seen. I didn't like that one move though, where Gil Thunder ended up jumping in the sky and like swinging down on top of Meliodas. I thought that was pretty legit. But other than that, the fight was just okay. And after the fight, Meliodas ends up getting cut. And it's very clear. It's very, very obvious watching this that he let himself get cut. Like, he was not in any danger at all. Okay? Like, if somebody thought he was hurt, then I don't know what to tell you. Because there was just no way this guy was actually beaten. There was just no way. Alright, like this is just another thing I saw coming from a mile away. Like I just knew. I knew this guy wasn't hurt. Everybody knew he wasn't hurt, okay? He just pretended to be hurt in order to get information out of Gil Thunder, which he succeeded in doing, okay? He ends up asking about the rest of the 7 deadly sins, and Gil Thunder gives him information about 2 of them. Right? He says the person who's greed is in this prison of Bast. Alright, and he says that the guy who's sloth is apparently dead, which I doubt. Because if you're the guy who represents sloth, then I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if you can play dead. Alright, like I just would not be surprised at all. Okay? So I'm assuming this sloth guy is either Ban or King, one of the two. And they're both clearly alive from the opening, so I mean, clearly he's not dead. And from what I understand, the people who read the manga, I remember seeing on Facebook in the J Room that people reading the manga were talking about, don't worry, it gets really awesome once they get to the Bast prison. I'm just like, alright, like alright, but I've still, like, my expectations for the anime have dropped considerably. Right? Like, I honestly just do not care. I really just do not care. So like I said last week, I said if this episode didn't impress, that I was just going to not review it regularly anymore, and guess what? I'm not reviewing it regularly anymore. If it gets good, I'll review it. Okay, but I'm not going to make any guarantees I'm going to review it week after week after week, because it's just not worth it right now. It's not worth it to review it when I'm not even enjoying it. Right? So I'll keep watching it, but I'll only review it if I care enough to review it. Like, even that. Keep in mind, I'm not saying I will review every good episode. I'm just saying if I feel like it, I'll review it. Because, yeah. So, yeah, that's it. But this episode was mediocre at best. It was... like I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. Slightly better than last week. But... I mean, that's not saying much. Right, I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10, and that's that, you guys. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.